They know that they can't go after all of us. They know that they can't go after everyone with a cell phone. They know that they can't go after every single journalist who's trying to cover these stories. And so what they want to do is that they want to make an example out of one person that's highly visible.
And my bracelet, I had on a bracelet that my husband bought me for our wedding, which was this diamond bracelet, and it kept getting caught. And it was kind of hurting, and they said they'd take it off. And I said, do you mind taking that up to my husband in room blah, 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 blah. And one of the FBI agents said, sure, and took it up, and that's how my husband found out. Otherwise, no one would have known where I was.
Wow.
Like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notifications. Anytime I go live or make a video, y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this. Now let's go to Don Lemon Juice. The man with the man on the back of him. He need to get a backpack with another man on it. So let's talk about this idiot. And let's keep it 100. I would not have a problem with Don Lemon Juice if he was actually a journalist and he actually was doing journalistic things, exercising his First Amendment. Even though I don't like him, I wouldn't say anything because it wouldn't matter. Why would I want a man to get arrested and go to jail for something he didn't do? This fool wasn't outside the church observing what was going on and interviewing people. This fool was in the church. It's like for instance, I'll say this again, and I'm gonna play this clip. On January 6th, how many people did they allow to be journalists on January 6th? They deemed everybody an insurrectionist. They did not give them credit for saying, I'm just going to the Capitol and reporting on what's going on. They were arresting people and didn't care. This is no different, dude. They used the FACE Act that you violated in a church. All right, let's listen to Don Lemon Juice on Kimmel show, which is irrelevant. I've never watched the show a day in my life. Roll a clip.
And on January 18th, is that correct? You were covering a protest at a church in St. Paul, Minnesota, an anti-ICE protest. Apparently there's a pastor at the church who's also a local ICE official, which is, I think, just as Jesus would want. And I believe we have some B-roll. Protesters interrupted the Sunday service, and you followed them in. You interviewed various people in the church, and afterward, well, you were arrested. Now, first I want to ask you, is there a difference between whether those protesters had the right to go into a church and whether a credentialed journalists like yourself had the right to go in and cover them going into the church?
Well, listen, obviously I'm in the middle of this, so I can't say a lot. There's a lot that I cannot say, but what I will say is that I'm not a protester. I went there to be a journalist. I went there to chronicle and document and record what was happening. I was following that one group around, and so that's what I did. I reported on them. And so, but I do think that there is a difference between a protester and a journalist.
So the next day, Trump reposts something from someone saying that you should be arrested, you should be sentenced in prison for violating the FACE Act. And at this point, are you thinking, oh, I might get arrested?
Well, not until they started, the drip, drip, drip of people starting to talk about it. I think Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi and all those folks talked about it. And here's the interesting thing, though, is that after that, I retained an attorney. And the attorney reached out to them and said, basically, I understand that you have an interest because your folks have been talking about it. And so if you are serious about this, then let's do it the right way. He's perfectly willing to self-report it, which means turn yourself in. And so we don't have to go through this whole rigmarole, and never heard back from them.
That is customary in a situation like this, that someone would be allowed to turn themselves in.
Yeah, people who are accused of much worse things than I am accused of doing, is they are allowed the courtesy. I mean, Donald Trump was allowed the courtesy to turn himself in.
Quit lying. They tried to break in Mar-a-Lago and did all kind of crazy stuff. They want to perp walk Donald Trump. They perp walked him, and they got him in the thing and got him a mugshot. I haven't seen Don Lemon's mugshot. Have you? I haven't seen his mugshot. So, but the president of the United States got a mugshot. And the crazy thing is that Don Lemon, these people are so disingenuous. Don Lemon cannot make a comparison to Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the president of the United States. He was still protected by Secret Service. So how do you arrest a person protected by Secret Service? Like, so the nuance and caveats that go along with a former president or a current president is very different than a regular citizen who is not protected by the government. There has to be an arrangement for transport and everything, because he can't just drive down there. He has to have Secret Service transfer him down there. So, it's a lot different. I want to tell you guys about Verdict. It's official. It's live. This is the not guilty. You see that reflection on there? We got that fall going on there. That looks good, and it tastes incredible. I can't believe it. And for everybody that got it, because a couple thousand of y'all got y'all's ordered in just yesterday and probably coming in today, make sure you go to verdictreservespirits.com, verdictreservespirits.com. We'll put the link in the description section. And let us know what you think about the bourbon. Give us your verdict. Is it good? Is it not good? Well, I know it's good. The first one we got on there, 5 stars. I can't see how anybody's competing with Verdict. We are going to have 100 signed bottles. Only the people who have purchased or the people who are on our email list are going to have access to get those bottles. I'm not promoting it to the public. I'm going to give first dibs to everybody that has either purchased or anybody that's on our email list. So go on. If you don't see the email list box, we'll have it available on the website tomorrow. We have our website developer do it. And make sure that you drink responsibly. Make sure that you're 21 and over before you ever think about visiting the website, because there's no purpose of you getting it if you're going to abuse it, okay? Abusing alcohol or anything is a sin. If you're going to have a little sip and you do it responsibly, you're fine. But if you go to abuse it, like food or anything else, that's when the Lord has got a problem with you. Roll the clip.
When he was.
That's right.
He did, yeah.
And so then the DOJ goes around and tries to find, and correct me if I have any of this wrong, some judges to charge you. And the judges say, no, we're not going to do that.
I think it was 2 different judges and an appeals court. I think so. It was 3 altogether.
And then they find a grand jury.
Right.
And are you familiar with how that happens? Like, how do they find this group of people who are willing to bring charges against you?
I don't know. I'm not that, astute with it, but at least I don't know the process that well because I'm not an attorney. But, I assume that they figure out who the folks are and they send it to them. And then they write up the indictment as to what they are, what they want charged. And then they give it to them. But you can write whatever you want to in an indictment. As I've been doing some research, you can say whatever you want. And for, even if you lie about it, prosecutors can pretty much say what they want with impunity. And,
all right,
they don't face any sort of consequence.
So time out. I just wanted to clear this up because he definitely don't, or he don't know what he's talking about, or he's misrepresenting what the truth is. There's a process in the legal system. You could go to a magistrate and try to get them to sign your probable cause statement to arrest him. You have to articulate what laws were violated before you can bring it before anybody. Activist judges, in my opinion, or maybe the judges just don't want to touch it because the precedent has been set in situations like this. I get it. But the next step is to go to a grand jury of your peers. And then what they do is they evaluate the legitimacy of what the claim is. And if people, your peers, decide that the legitimacy of the claims that are being presented are reasonable, then they will formally indict you. And then they can have the authority to go and arrest you for your charges. It's not like a random, like you just go and say, this person is guilty of these crimes. Yes, you're guilty. No, there's an evaluation, there's a standard, there's a checks and balances portion of that. Now, it's easier to get indicted for things, so it's not as hard the indictment process at a grand jury is not the same as a jury trial. The burden of proof and all that stuff is a lot more detailed. There's a lot more information that has to be disclosed. There's cross-examination. There's a lot of other things that go in a jury trial than a grand jury indictment. So it is easier to indict people, right? You can indict people depending on how you frame it. You can indict somebody that may not be formally convicted at some point. So Don Lemon may have a point if he says that the threshold for indictment is lower. But you can't say because other judges didn't prosecute you or sign the warrant for your arrest, that means that somehow you are innocent. I don't think that's the case whatsoever. Roll the clip.
So take us through what happened. It was Thursday night when they came to get you, right? Okay.
When they got me.
You're here in L.A.
When the popo came.
Yeah.
You got to laugh at something, right? But look, it's very serious. I had gone to, I was here to cover the Grammys. I was going to do the red carpet. And I had gone to the Black Music Collective event that night, where the importance of Black music and artists and whatever. And the reason I cover it is because of the First Amendment, the freedom of expression, and the art of music is part of that. And then I'd gone to the Spotify party, and it's all young people, and they're like, Mr. Lemon, oh my God, I love watching you on TikTok. And I'm like, wow, that's different than my grandma loves watching you on CNN, so it's a whole new audience. And I got back to the hotel. I walked in I had my swag bag from the thing, and I was walking up to the room, and I pressed the elevator button, and all of a sudden I feel myself being jostled, and people trying to grab me and put me in handcuffs, and I said, what are you doing here? And they said, we came to arrest you. And I said, who are you? And then finally they identified themselves, and I said, if you are who you are, then where's the warrant? And they didn't have a warrant, so they had to wait for someone from outside, an FBI guy, to come in to show me a warrant on a cell phone. And by that time, I was like trying to, figure out what was going on to get my bearings, and they dropped all my stuff. My glasses had fallen on the floor. I'm like, I can't read that. So they had to pick my glasses up, and I read it, and still, what does that mean? And then it was a bunch of guys, and they took me outside. FBI guys were out there. I mean, it had to be maybe a dozen people, which is
What he's saying is not accurate. He's embellishing some of this. There's no way in the world that Don Lemon is a threat enough where they got to do a sneak attack. I'm pretty sure when he went in the elevator, they acknowledged, hey, Don Lemon, you're under arrest. We need you to put your hands behind your back or whatever. There's no jostling him and throwing him up against the wall and not even identifying themselves. That didn't happen. And then the warrant part. You don't need you don't need a warrant for them to arrest you. They don't have to show you a warrant. I guarantee you what happened was they arrested him, and he said, I want to see the warrant. And they said, okay, we'll show you the warrant. But they don't have to show you the warrant to arrest you. They don't have to. So I bet you $1 million they accommodated his request to see the warrant. So they got a guy with a phone and showed it to him like, here, Don Lemon, here's the warrant. So you don't have any question whatsoever. But there is not a scenario where they arrested him and then they had to go show him a warrant somehow, or the arrest wasn't final. It's like, they arrest you, and they may have the courtesy of showing you the warrant or not. They don't have to show you the warrant. I don't know what people are thinking, but anyway, roll the clip.
Waste, Jimmy, of resources, because I had told them weeks before, and maybe once or twice, that we would, I think my attorney tried to contact them once, maybe twice, that I could just go in, and it would have to be the folks who were just working there that day, and they wouldn't have to have all these people following me around.
It's more than just a waste of resources. So they grab you and they take you where?
Well, you're right about more than just a waste of resources. They want that. They want to embarrass you. They want to intimidate you. They want to instill fear, and so that's why they did it that way. They took me down to a holding place in the federal courthouse.
And they give you mugshots, strip search, all of that stuff?
No strip search, but mugshot, fingerprints, the whole 9 yards, twice.
Did they put you in a cell?
I was in a holding room.
You're in a holding room?
Yes.
And how long are you in that holding room?
From about midnight, 12:30 to 1 or so the next day.
Who did you make your one phone call to?
Here's the interesting thing. I didn't have a one phone call. I never had a one phone call.
Wait a minute. I watch a lot of TV.
I know. That's right. I asked them, do I get my one phone call, Jimmy? They said, no, you don't. You get to talk to your attorney whenever the court says that you can. And so that wasn't until the next day. But I tell you how I got it out. I had my Apple Watch on in my phone. And I called my husband. I said, hey, Siri, call Tim. And he was asleep. Went to his voicemail. And then I said, hey, Siri, call Abby Lowell, who's my attorney, and went to his voicemail. He was traveling back from someplace. And finally, I got into the front of an FBI agent's truck, and they had the handcuffs on me. And my bracelet, I had on a bracelet that my husband bought me for our wedding, which was this diamond bracelet, and it kept getting caught. And it was kind of hurting, and they said they'd take it off. And I said, do you mind taking that up to my husband in room blah, 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 blah. And one of the FBI agents said, sure, and took it up, and that's how my husband found out. Otherwise, no one would have known where I was.
Wow.
Time out. I want y'all to pay attention to this. Somehow I ended up in the front seat. Like, no, they were accommodating you. You just mentioned that you used your watch to call people and they didn't answer. They let you use your Apple Watch to call your husband. He didn't answer. They let you call your attorney. He didn't answer. They let you sit in the front seat. And then they took your property to your husband in the hotel room. Quit acting like they were treating you some type of way, bro. If they were treating you some type of way, you'd be in the back, they'd have took your watch off. They'd have made you take your watch off so you can't communicate. They treated you fairly. And you act like they didn't is crazy to me. There's a couple more clips, and then we're going to move to the next topic. Roll it.
Mention the act of courtesy that FBI agent extended to you. Were you treated well?
So not by the guys that arrested me, obviously, right. But not all federal agents are the same. And the guys who work for Homeland Security and the FBI are not the guys that you see out there on ICE, who have 47 days of training, who are, violating people's due process rights. They are completely different people. And I have always had a very good relationship with law enforcement, especially federal law enforcement, because I used to do these franchises when I was in local news called, FBI's Most Wanted, right? The Alabama's Most Wanted, and New York's Most Wanted, whichever market I was in. And so these guys were professional, they were courteous, and they were kind, but not the original Homeland Security guys that took me in.
When did you realize that this was a very, very big story?
I had no idea. I had a little bit of an idea when I asked to use the restroom in, sort of early in the morning. I wasn't sure what time. I didn't have a watch or anything, so I didn't know. And so I go out and they open the door to the room where the agents, they're housed, or their office, and there was CNN on a monitor. And on the thing I could see, former CNN anchor Don Lemon arrested in Los Angeles. And I said to the guy, I was like, is that happening a lot? He goes, you've been on all morning.
Yeah.
And he says, this is a big deal. But I still didn't know how big a deal it was, Jimmy. I swear to you. I walked out. My attorney said to me on the phone, finally, when I got out, he said, I prepared a statement. You can rewrite it and edit it, but you need to deliver the statement. I'm like, deliver to who? Like, what are you talking about? And they said, the people who are waiting outside. And so my husband and I walk out, and I see this, like...
Time out. All right, I'm done listening to this fool. But I will say this. I think he has a clip with AOC, which I know y'all want to get to that part. But why is he lying and saying he didn't think it's a big deal? I want to show you my wife's favorite design of all time, and that is deport liberal white women. I literally wanted to wear this to the Open here in Phoenix, but we have to get me my version of it first. But if you want cool merch, all you have to do is go to tatumstore.com, tatumstore.com, get one of these shirts or hoodies, put in ICE26, get 26% off the entire store, ICE26. All right, man, let's get to the topic at hand. You just said that before you ever got arrested, you saw Pam Bundy talking about you. That is the head of the government. These people are top law enforcement in the country. That's people in the cabinet. They're talking about you on the news. Your attorney reached out to them, and you don't think it's a big deal. All right, let get to AOC. What a waste. She kind of cute a little bit, but I think if she was a conservative, she'd be cute. It's like that devil, that smug, dark cloud over leftist stupidity. It's like when they start talking, they start looking uglier. Like she looks like a fool, how stupid she is. But I'm going to let her talk, and then we're going to go on to the next topic. Roll the clip.
They know that they can't go after all of us. They know that they can't go after everyone with a cell phone. They know that they can't go after every single journalist who's trying to cover these stories. And so what they want to do is that they want to make an example out of one person that's highly visible, like or has a position of leadership, like Trump. You or like Georgia Ford, Trump. In order to get people who are trying to do similar things to self-censor, to self-silence, to be afraid that, well, if it happened to him, then it could happen to me, so I'm not going to do it. Because they know that we outnumber them, and they know that they can't go after all of us. So I think I just want to say how important it is, the example that you're setting by not backing down, that, you got out and the first thing you did was to start the show right back up again, because what they want you to do
Shut
is
this woman up. She got like 3 seconds left, y'all, so she not saying nothing. You got out and you started your show back up. You're not in trouble for doing a podcast. You're not in trouble for being a journalist. You're in trouble because you took into a church harassing people. You coordinated with them to do the harassment. You justified what they did. You said, you called the pastor a white supremacist. You advocated for the violence. You weren't impartial. That's where the line is drawn. If you were impartially covering something, you're fine. He told you to leave the church, and you didn't. And you sat there and still harassed and interviewed people. I'm telling you this. I would stand up for Don Lemon if he was outside of the church and he did everything he did outside of the church when they went in. And he got his camera and looked in the church and said, look, they're in there doing that. And as the parishioners come out, he interviewed them. God is my witness. I'd say, Don Lemon, everything you did was fine. They shouldn't, Donald Trump, y'all don't do that because it's going to backfire on us because they're going to do it to us. It's not right. Don Lemon did the right thing. But that's not what he did. He coordinated with this girl. He kissed her on the cheek, got food for him. He knew that they were going to go do it, and he knew, like, for instance, think about this for a minute. I just want it to drive home because some people still believe in Don Lemon makes sense. If I know, just say I know a guy is going to go into a mosque, and the guy's going to disrupt the mosque, and he's going to call the imam a terrorist, and he's gonna disrupt all the people praying and worshiping, and I know he's gonna do it, and I know it's a crime to do it, but I know they're gonna commit a crime because I know it's not. Like, listen, y'all, when he was on Jimmy Kimmel, he said, "There's a difference between a journalist going in that church and other people going in that church." So Don Lemon, you knew that what they were doing was a crime. You cannot facilitate and I don't know, give tacit approval to a crime and then interject yourself into the crime. You have to remove yourself from a crime. Oh, that's like somebody saying, hey, I'm going to go in the bank and I'm going to rob the bank because I know they have some vulnerabilities. And you're a journalist and you're like, all right, hey, y'all, I'm getting ready to cover this incident. I can't tell you what's about to happen, but I'm getting ready to cover this. And somehow you go in the bank and they robbed the bank. You knew they were going to rob the bank. You participated in it to some degree, and then you interview people about getting robbed when you already knew they were going to rob it. All right.